So I'm just going to quickly show you how to add sound to your animation. If you need music, you can always use YouTube and use YouTube Converter to download your music, or you can go to a website like this one, the Free Music Archive, and here the music, you can use it without copyrights. It's free to use. So I'm just going to go here and just pick a random song. First one on the list, why not? Click the little download arrow there, and your song will be downloaded. And usually whenever you click to download a song on an Apple computer, it always tries to open up iTunes. I'm just going to click decline. So see, that's my song there. And this little folder has my animation. Now I have my animation as an image sequence, but if you had it as a movie, that's fine as well. Yeah? So now what I'm going to do is open up Premiere. I've started to open up Premiere just because it takes forever to open, and the purpose of saving your time. I've got Premiere open, and the first thing you see, sometimes it plays a little video. If it starts playing a video, there's a little skip button here. Click that, and it'll take you to this window. In this window, you want to click New Project. And you want to give the project a quick name. I'll call it horse, because it's a little animation of a horse. Now, next thing, I'm going to click Browse over here, and I'm going to find the folder on the desktop. Quick note, you don't want to work off of your USB stick because the data doesn't go fast enough from your USB stick back to the computer when you're working with video. So, especially with your quick little animation, just throw it onto the desktop in a little folder and select that folder as a folder that everything automatically saves to from Premiere. This is what the whole purpose of this folder is. Click Choose, and you can ignore the rest of this. It's for logging tapes, but you don't need to worry about that. Press OK. And this is the interface for Premiere. It looks kind of intimidating at first, but basically I want you to focus on the lower left corner down here. This is where our media is going to be. So I'm going to double click to import media. And if you had a video, you just select your video and click import. I've got an image sequence, and if you have an image sequence, click the first image in your image sequence, and then down here under options, click that and say it's an image sequence. And then basically it'll do all of your sequential images. So it starts with 1 and it ends at 23. And I click import. And I can continue to import files. I can double click back there, and I can do, instead of bird, I can do my horse images and select horse 1, go to options, it's already clicked, and click import. I'm viewing it as thumbnails now. You can also view it as like little graphics. It's a little button down there to switch. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to create a sequence. But if I were to just double click one of these, you'll see my little thing plays as a little animation of a horse running. The way you play and pause your video, by the way, is the space bar. Yeah, you can always click that, but the space bar is easier to just quickly play and pause your video. The next thing we need to do is we need to create a sequence. What I'd like you to do is go File, New, Sequence. And the setting you want to use is in the top folder. You can double click to open a folder or click on the arrow to the left. You don't click the folder icon once because Premiere is funny like that. Click the little triangle and that will open it up for you. And our animation's at 24 frames, so you want to use RE1080p24. That's going to be 1920 by 1080. It's going to be the settings you're working at in Dragon Frame, and it's going to be the right frame rate. And press OK when you've selected that. I see instantly this area here has changed, and I've got over here my timeline. My V's are where my video goes, and then my A is where my audio goes. I can't put something that's just an image sequence into my audio. So if I just click and drag that in, you can see my animation is really, really short. This looks really, really tiny. It looks like I've done nothing. But I can zoom in on my timeline with these little circles down at the bottom. If I click that circle there and drag it closer together to the other one, and I drag my animation in now, keep existing settings. It asks me that because my video is a little teeny tiny square. It shouldn't ask you that if your video is 1920 by 1080. But you can see there's my little horse video. And it's very short. I can repeat that. I can keep inserting my video by just clicking that button, little insert. And I'll insert my little horse video several times because otherwise it's too short for you guys to see. But if I zoom out, you can see I've got a couple of instances of that. And it's a little horse looping. This image was created by Edward Muybridge, basically the father of the moving image. Now, my sound. My sound was on the desktop. Go back to my desktop. There should be my song called Pigs Out. I can just drag that in. And you notice that when I drag it in, I can drag it right from my Finder in. I don't have to go to File, Import. There's lots of different ways to import files into Premiere. Additionally, go File, Import, find your song that way. And you'll notice that my song is much longer than my animation. So if I want to adjust the length of my song, like I want it to start playing right at the beginning, I can hover my mouse over the edge of that, and that just lets me kind of drag it so it starts a bit later. And I just move that over. And it keeps going and going, but that's all I want to have. So I can use a little razor blade tool to basically just trim it at the edge, there where it ends. And if I were to keep clicking with my razor blade tool, it keeps making additional cuts. So to avoid doing that, hit Command Z to undo the extra ones I've done. And I'm just going to go back to my pointer tool, which is V, by the way. It's V for every software you learn. And now I can just press the delete key on the keyboard to delete that footage. So now my song is the same length as my little animation. And you see, my animation is 8 seconds and 18 frames long. If I want to move my sound fade out at the end, I can hover my line between my two gray lines, between each of the two layers, between A1 and A2. And if I were to click and drag that down now, that lets me see my waveform a little bit closer. And this line in the middle, that thin gray line, that's my volume, so I can click that. And I go over here to my pen tool, which is P, and then I can click where I want the song to start fading out. So I can click, and I'll keep it at the normal volume. And then if I click at the end and I drag that down, my music now fades out. That's probably a little bit too quick, so I can move it so it happens a little bit earlier. A little bit better. Go back to V, my pointer tool. I can stretch that out even longer. And I can always tell where I am in time with the time code. Basically, it's always the number of frames you have. So there's 24 of those in a second. The number of seconds, 60 of those in a minute. 60 in an hour for minutes. And then hours, you can go up to 24. If you're doing that much of an animation, you're a hero. Yeah, you've done a lot of work. Great. Now I've got my animation. I can add additional sounds just because my thing's only got one soundtrack. I can even repeat the same song and have it like as a weird loop. Well, that doesn't sound very nice, but you get the idea that you can have multiple tracks of audio. So if you want to have like a little sound effect, like a whinny or something, let me just quickly show you how to do that with YouTube. So if I wanted a little whinny, just type in the thing you're looking for, yeah? Horse neighing sound effect. There you go. Alright, let's say I want to use that. I can copy this link, Command C to copy, or you can copy that way, Control click. And now if I were to go to good old Google and type in YouTube converter, there's a bunch of these websites. Pick any one that says convert to MP3. I'm going to paste my link in. Oh. Copy that again. That didn't copy the first time. Click convert. And all these websites are all sorts of dodgy. You can just close that. And it'll open up the main window. And it's always got these weird sexist pop-up ads because free creepy website. And the delay is completely artificial. Your sound effect's 6 seconds long. It should be quite quick. If it feels like the website doesn't work, just go back and pick a different one. There's tons of them. And just paste again. Actually, this Easy YouTube to MP3, that one's kind of good, and it doesn't have any really dodgy, stupid ads. Wait for it. And then click the first option. Click decline, because it always tries and opens it up. And then opens up a pop-up, close that. And now if I was back on my desktop, there's my horse neighing. You always go to your desktop and your Windows on a Mac, by the way, by clicking a little Finder smiley face icon. And then I can grab that horse sound effect. and drag that into my little animation. And you see there's my little waveform of a horse. It's quite long. I might just use like a little bit of it. Alright, there's 3 different sound effects on there. I just want the last one. So I'm going to have my thing on the end and just use the last little sound effect. And I can just put that in there. Now if I don't want to faff around by accidentally moving my music or do anything to it, I can just lock the layer there, click that. And let's say I'm going to copy the sound effect a few times. I can just select it, it's gray when it's selected, hit Command C to copy and Command V to paste. So I can have like... So I can have multiples of that. And then let's say I'm happy. This is my final animation. I'm happy with how that looks. I'm going to go up here, File, Export Media. Ignore everything here. Press the word Q down at the bottom. And it's going to open up another program called Adobe Media Encoder. And if it looks like it does nothing, that's normal. It takes a really awkward pause, but you see it opens up eventually. It tests your patience, this Adobe software, whenever it opens up new things. You get oddly used to it in a kind of self-destructive way. It's a great time to quickly check your phone, see if you got any messages or emails, ponder the meaning of life, do a quick doodle in your sketchbook. It just takes a second. I spend a lot of time staring at this image, actually. They do change the image with every update, so I think that helps the sanity as well when you stare at this as much as I do. But it does eventually open up. And the reason we use this instead of just exporting it through the export window is that in the export window there's a lot of settings you need to remember, whereas in this one, you just need to remember, I'm looking for Vimeo 1080p. That's the setting you're going to save your video as. There's lots of ways of formatting and coding videos. This is a nice kind of MPEG-4 that plays on everything. So look, it's opened up. So taking its sweet time. Basically, down here in the lower left is everything in the world you can imagine converting a video into. And on the very bottom, there's a little folder called Social Media. Click the arrow to the left of that and scroll down and find the one called Vimeo 1080p. And you're going to click and drag and drop that on top of the word QuickTime there and let go. You can see now it says Vimeo 1080p as a preset. Then I can click on the output file name to rename it, so I'll call it Horse, and defaultly it'll save it in that folder. If you're on a Mac, you want to know where something's saving to and you don't see the options, click the little down arrow there and that'll show you your full set of options that you can see. So it's on the desktop, it's in a folder called Muybridge, that's where it's going to save to. Well yeah, that's my project folder, so that's great. Press save, and then the last thing to actually convert your video into an MPEG-4, an actual video, because a Premiere file itself is just a bunch of data on how to make a video, you're going to press the play button up there, and that will start your queue. And it should be pretty quick. You can see there it is, it's running my video up. And when it's done, you'll see, you click on the little output file there, and that will open it up in the Finder for you, so you have to click there. If you double click, there's my finished video, and you're good to go. Good luck with this, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me.